Beavis and Butthead are not real. They are stupid cartoon people completely made up by this Texas guy who we hardly even know. Beavis and Butthead are dumb, crude, thoughtless, ugly, sexist, self-destructive fools. But for some reason, the little wiener heads make us laugh.
Get ready, everybody. He's about to do something stupid.
Well, I'm sorry to disappoint you, gentlemen, but you seem to have me confused with a character in a fictional show. Now, if you'll excuse me, my fondue is just about...
And welcome everyone to the podcast. Once again, I am your host, Live to Win. Oh my god, I'm gonna be looking forward to everything. I hope you guys like my little disclaimer that I've been kind of doing now because of DMCA's. I did it as a joke. So basically, a friend of mine was like, hey, you know all those wrestling videotapes we used to watch back in the day to where they put up like FBI, like disclaimers? What if you did that? And I was like, isn't there a TV show that we used to watch that was like way funnier? So I was like, screw it, I'm just gonna go ahead and just roll with that. So I just started doing that as a joke. So I actually kind of like it. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been doing it like every time I stream now just because it's freaking hilarious. And plus, I don't think I could get copyrighted off of a TV show for a disclaimer. But anyway.
Well,
You never know. You never know.
you do not know with the industry nowadays.
I know, you could get banned for just about every little thing now, these days. But anyway, I'm going to be looking forward to talking about Artist of the Week. I have clips that I've been holding off on for so long. I need to show them off. They're going to be freaking hilarious. I also got the one gaming news a little bit, at least for me anyway. And yeah, I got some games I want to talk about, so... Dark, I'm just bursting at the seams over here. I need to know. I mean, I know there's RP, but there was one other game, and I didn't know if it was of any note for your channel.
Oh, the Henry Stickmin collection?
Yeah.
That was fun. That was... God, that's like... So, it used to be like a free online Flash game from what I know, from like forever ago. So it has
Right.
so many old ass memes in it. But since Flash is dead. Is it now or no? It's the end of December. Flash is completely being taken off the internet.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, Flash is being discontinued. Period. Which is why the creator remastered the series and put it up on Steam.
Okay.
That was a super fun. I perfected the whole thing in like 5 hours, but it was just full of hilarious gags and just fun dialogue and stuff like that. It was just a whole lot of just absolute
So I guess
dumb, memey fun.
So I'm guessing we're probably going to be hearing a little bit more of that, a little bit more detail, or is that pretty much it?
No, that's pretty much it. I mean,
Okay.
I feel like it's more something you experience than can be adequately talked about.
Okay. Understandable. Gaming news and updates. I know I got at least one tidbit, so I don't know if you have any.
I got a few.
Okay, yeah, shoot.
I was hoping you go first.
Oh, okay. I didn't know it was like that. Okay. So, one little thing that I do want to mention before I do kind of go into gaming news and updates. I mean, I'm sure it came out of left field even for her, but I did speak with a friend of mine who I met through streaming and all that years ago. Actually, it was through Lucky. I actually discovered her. She's Payday from years ago, and I finally had a chance to speak with her. Pretty much ever since like 2020 happened. Yeah, it's. I noticed some people have been kind of like been going dark, which is understandable because like things could be crazy for some people. So I'm sure it felt like out of left field that I just kind of out of the blue just contacted her, and we just kind of had like a little bit of a conversation this morning, which was kind of awesome. So yeah, I'm going to be going into more of what I was planning on doing earlier today, Max Payne 3. I'll talk about that later. But yeah, I was like setting up to do that. I was going to get something to eat, and then just I kind of messaged her, I think like last night or something, or like a couple days ago, and we just kind of had like a little conversation this morning. So it was kind of awesome, just kind of like speaking to her. And yeah, Rarfang is a awesome streamer that I met years ago, and it was just kind of awesome to just kind of like sit down and just kind of have a conversation. She was easily like on the list of people that if her schedule was more open, I would definitely not only love to have her on as like a guest for the podcast, but if Dark said no to all of this, she would easily be like my number 2 pick if she had more free time. But anyway, but yeah, it was just kind of awesome speaking with her. I'm super glad I was able to like kind of brighten her day a little bit, so that was kind of awesome. So Rar, I don't know if you're ever gonna like see or hear this podcast, but yeah, just wanted to say that before I get started here. And with that, gaming news and updates. Basically, my game that I have been looking forward to for so long, at least since I heard about it. And yeah, Cyberpunk 2077. It got pushed once again, which is completely fine by me. Once again, 2020 reasons, pandemic and all. And I thought I heard the last pushback was due to they wanted to test the game on old hardware, is what I thought I heard. It was either the new hardware or the old hardware. I forget what it was. I forget what they had built, and then they were going to test and see if it worked essentially both ways. Yeah, they got that, and then now I'm hearing that it's because of pandemic reasons is the reason why Cyberpunk is being pushed to December. I'm going to absolutely lose myself in that game. I'm really looking forward to it. All I just want out of it is Grand Theft Auto, but in the future, and whatever CD Projekt Red has planned for it. I mean, I think it's just going to be great. At least in my opinion. So I'm just going to be super excited about that. Yeah, so from the looks of things, I didn't plan on doing this, but it looks because it got pushed. And because it could potentially get pushed again, I'm probably just gonna change my plans with Yakuza Like a Dragon. Because, far as I know, that is set to go down in November. I think like November 13, 14, somewhere in there. So, whenever that drops, I think we're gonna go ahead and do that day one. And yeah, so I think that would be the new plan. But once Cyberpunk does happen, yeah, we are gonna stop everything for Cyberpunk. Everything. So I hate the fact that I'm gonna like dive into Yakuza and then like just back out, but sadly it looks like that's the case. But hopefully all is well, and yeah, no major problems or issues. But yeah, that's apparently on my plate. So, as far as I know, in terms of updates, that's basically all I have is Cyberpunk's getting pushed to December. So, I have 1 month for Yakuza, so I guess that would be like our little go-to of how it would be like to have like a full schedule. When that happens, I am going to do a full schedule with Yakuza. It's just going to be... I'm just going to have to watch my data plan like a hawk, because streaming every day... Like, I'd even know I had a data plan on my internet, and then, like, I forget how long ago, like, a couple years back, I almost went over, so... That's the whole reason why I don't stream every single day, so... Plus, it gives me time to relax with carpal tunnel and what have you, and just kind of, like, reset my batteries every time, because I don't... Because kind of like today, I don't have... I didn't get any sleep last night, so... But, anyway. But yeah, that's what's going on with me. So, Dark, give me news and updates there.
Well, I was gonna mention the Cyberpunk thing, but then then you mentioned, I'm like, oh yeah, of course, Liv would talk about that.
When it's
I
marked
guess-
on the calendar, I have to.
when it's marked on the calendar. It's a day that ends in a Y. Also, happy Halloween, everyone. 31st podcast on October 31st. Ooh, spooky.
I actually did not realize that this was the 31st podcast
podcast
on the
on the
31st.
This is the last time it could possibly happen.
Yes,
'Cause-
that is true. That is 100% true.
We did not plan this.
It just
It
happened.
that way. Yeah, we totally planned when we started this so that the 31st podcast would be on October 31st of next year.
Yes.
Totally planned that.
Yes. That 100%.
I don't have a face cam, but I am shaking my head in a very convincing way.
I do the same almost, and I don't even have a face cam pointed at me.
Oh God!
I
But Halo Infinite's kind of on fire. There's been people freaking up in arms about that, with 343 changing how the skins, how like the armor customization is, and like putting up a lot of it for like pay for cosmetics. People are getting up in arms about that. It's not like loot box or anything. It's just straight up pay $1.50 or something like that for
Right.
X armor cosmetic or something like that. Probably purely for multiplayer or something. But, you know, it's on fire. I've never really cared about that stuff because I just don't spend money at all. I don't think I've ever in-app purchased anything in a video game. DLCs and that are different, but like loot boxes are like exclusive skins that you have to pay real money for. And I'm like, yeah, I can live without that. I mean, it's never been a big deal to me. I'm just more worried about like, is the game going to be good? Is the story going to be good?
Same.
Stuff like that. But I guess this is kind of a little bit gaming news, but not really. Liv, you got the DM of the trailer for No Pixel Dating Sim 2.0.
Shit. Okay, yeah, I can fire that off. 1 second here. Absolutely. Yeah, I remember you sending me it. Now, for some reason, I don't know why, when I first saw it, my first thought is, Are you talking about like NoPixel 2.0, like their RP stuff? And then I realized, oh wait, no, he's talking about the fucking dating sim.
It's the dating sim. They updated. It was back in August.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
realize they updated it that soon, and I just found that out. I
Right.
was like, holy shit, they updated it like a crazy amount. They added
Yeah, I
a lot of
noticed.
new
Yeah, there was like some new
characters.
characters and new
And I sent it
locations.
to you because you liked. I was like, wow, I remember you surprisingly liked that a
Yeah,
lot.
it
And
was
now
fine
they've
for what it was. I mean, it was just, yeah, it was good.
and they've now improved it a whole lot and added a whole bunch of new mechanics and that. And there's a lot more, I guess, quote unquote free roam. So at some point, I'm going to do that. I'm not entirely sure when, but it's definitely something that's it's not up on the
Yeah, I'm getting everything set. There we go. But yeah, this is what Dark sent me, and yeah, I thought it was pretty cool for what it was. I mean, I definitely see why certain people would absolutely love this, because if you are like really into like NoPixel, like this is completely what you would want to do. Like this was not in the game from what I remember. Like you get like a whole map and you get to like see where everything is. That's like completely new from what I remember. Well, you can go to different locations, but it was more like with just text. You didn't have like a finger to like point to like a location that you want to go. But yeah, it's, but yeah, I saw this and I was like, yeah, I could, because if you like watch NoPixel, you're gonna like, obviously you're gonna know like all the different characters and different stuff like that. So like when you see a character that probably wasn't in the original, like it's gonna be a little amazing to see a character that wasn't in the original and now it is, kind of type of thing. So yeah, it's great.
Yeah, they added like 4 new main characters, 4 new love interests, and 19 more side characters, including improvements to sort of like, I think some of the paths before, because they've added in a new respawn mechanic that you can get like 1 free save if you mess up a dating route, which is which is cool. I'm not sure if it's still got the same save style as it did before, but it's cool that there's those options in there. And it's just that they've actually have worked on this game in a lot more. I didn't think they put this much effort. I was like, okay, they said they wanted to do more. I was thinking more characters, more of that. I wasn't thinking like a whole big redesign and just remaking sort of.
Yeah, because like some of the animation looks completely different. Like there's more shadow around like the neck and chin area, and it's definitely, it seems like it has more of a like cartoonish look and not just like, I'm trying to think who it was. I want to say it was Nikita's character. She, like, her character just kind of looked like just like a random sketch, if that makes sense. I think she comes up in the thing here. I forget where it is. Because, like, her character looks pretty much the same from what I remember. Where is she? I know she's here somewhere. I seen it, goddammit! There she is. Yeah, like
that was
like
wasn't her. That was someone else.
That was someone else. Because like her character, like in game, kind of just looks like a random sketch to me. But yet, like when you look at some of the other characters, it looks like there was kind of like more thought out or something. Maybe I'm just explaining it wrong, but
I think it's just it's a little bit of a different style. I think because multiple artists.
That could be true. Yeah.
So it's similar. Like they're similar enough in style that they fit together, but it's noticeable that it was probably a different artist who did this character
Right.
than another, which is perfectly fine. I don't have a problem with it. I mean, it's just
It's
nice.
just something I noticed. It's just something I noticed. Because, like, God damn it. What the hell's going on here? Ah! I had it, and then it, like, you completely just ruined it. Thanks a lot. Because, like,
Oh,
because it dawned on me with this character, like, it definitely has, like, a more cartoonish look to me. You know what I mean? Compared to the last one. So, it was just something I noticed, but now that you bring it up to where it's like, they probably do have multiple artists, then that would kind of make sense now. It was just something I noticed, though.
oh no, it's a good catch. But yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see that. I like just awesome that they're putting so much effort into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they still plan on doing updates or so. I'm not entirely sure, but
It would be interesting. I know I'm interested.
yeah. Cool.
Anything else, or?
I think that's all I have for gaming.
Alright. And I guess...
Sean Connery died today.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, he passed away today. At 92, I think he was.
Yeah, I do know he's way up there in age. I think one of the very first movies I ever seen him in was Raiders of the Lost
90.
Ark.
He was 90. Oh. That sucks.
Yeah.
Hashtag the best James Bond.
Oh god, the classic James Bond.
Mm.
When I think of like just straight up just classic, that's what I think of right there, is just Sean Connery's take on James Bond.
Yeah. Sucks, but he was 90. Oh god. That's the sad thing. It's like, man, all these old actors or these actors that are becoming older and you're like, oh my god,
Mm-hmm.
like I'm gonna live to see them die. Oh, it's gonna be sad. God,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be real sad with like Harrison Ford.
Mm.
Like he is in his 60s. I mean, as long as no bad accidents happen to him. He's 78. Holy shit, doesn't look that bad for 78.
Yeah, I've seen that with some people. It's like they're how old and they look like that? Okay, what diet are you on, or like what the fuck are you doing? Like how do I look that good at that age? When I
Mark
get
Hamill's
that.
69 years old.
Yeah,
Though to be
Oh.
fair, his after his car accident, after just before the premiere of Return of the Jedi, his face is sort of like, his face got super messed up after that.
Right.
So, he probably shows it a little more than other people. But God,
Yeah.
I was sad when Christopher Lee died. The guy who played Count Dooku in Star Wars and also Sauron or Sorrow. Which one? Which the evil white wizard guy? I can't. Suck. Fuck. Why did they make the names so similar? Like they're just slightly different. Saruman. That's it. We played him in Lord of the Rings. He also did a lot of, I think, Shakespearean stuff too. Like he was a play actor as well. I was sad when he died. Oh no, Patrick Stewart. No. Oh. Quick, let's move topics before I start thinking of all the actors that are just so old. And I'm like, No, they're treasures. They can't go.
Alright, well, as Dark recuperates, I guess I'll go ahead and talk about Mafia 2 and Max Payne 3. So, Mafia 2, basically I'm almost completely done with everything. So I'm trying to do everything chronological order with playing the main story. There's a couple of DLCs that... there's one that actually takes place during the actual game, and then there is what takes place kind of anywhere, I guess. But I've been doing the final DLCs last, and I'm on the first of the last one, I believe. So I got like 2 more DLCs left, so I'm still going through that. Basically, the whole reason why I like the game is because the time period, just the absolute look, aesthetic, and just how kind of accurate it is to the real mob, and because of that, I just absolutely enjoy it. It's all for the time period and just the way it is. I know so many people will probably say, well, why play that? Play GTA, and it's like, it's so much more different than GTA because they don't... Even though that GTA has done mob stuff multiple times, they never, like, showed, like, the traditions. They never had, like, the time period. I would love to see Rockstar try and do a 1930s, 1940s period of, like, the mob, but sadly that has never happened yet. It came close when they tried to get the rights to Godfather the game, but it just never happened. EA picked that up, and they burnt the bacon on part 2, and we never saw a sequel to that. So, yeah, Godfather the game, that's basically on hold because, well, EA wanted to make money on it, I guess, or saw something in the online when online wasn't really viable at the time, so there you go. But yeah, I just love Mafia 2. It's just so good. I do know for some people it's kind of like their introduction to the mob, Mafia, the franchise. So my heart is still set with Mafia 1. It's just so much better. The OG one. But yeah. So I kind of finished Vito Scoletta's story. It's awesome. It was just a blast just kind of going through it. So, yeah, I just really like it. Now, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about some sex. Because, oh my god, Max Payne 3 is just the absolute greatest. I freaking love this game. It is just really awesome that I am actually here talking about Max freaking Payne 3. In 2020. I thought this game was dead. I thought this game had no one playing it at all, and yet I played this like a week ago, and it was just the best. I had so much fun, and God. Okay, this is my favorite game of all time, and the online is where it's at. So, like, you get to go into bullet time. You know what? We got to show it. So, like, this is here's a freaking highlight, like right here in freaking Hoboken. Like, this is just badass. Like, I am just freaking going off right here. I get like 8 kills. It is just freaking insane. Me and one other friend of mine is just like playing, and we're just dunking on these like level 50 guys with the bomb suit sawed off. Yeah, I'm rocking a bomb suit, but that's only because everyone's throwing nades, but I ain't touching that freaking broken OP weapon that is the sawed off. This is just garbage. Absolute garbage. I hate going up against it. So whenever I go up against it, like, I freaking, god damn it. So, but yeah, I just love this game. It is, like right there, I just took out a sawed-off using freaking only pistols. Like, I will say, this brings out the worst in me, But honestly, it's just competitive nature. I mean, I remember back in the day. I remember 2012? That's another sawed off right there. Get out of here. And then here's this other guy right here, dead. Yeah, get out of here, freaking camper. Oh my god. I tell you, it brings out the worst in me. I'm not lying when I say it. So, like, I just love this game, and the fact that it made a comeback somehow in my life is just freaking awesome. By no means is it anything like how it was in 2012, but my god, I just love this game. When it comes to PvP, this is my game. I absolutely love this. This is just the greatest thing ever. And it feels weird to have sex on stream, and like it feels so good. And this is sex to me. This is absolute sex. I absolutely love this. Yeah. So, needless to say, a friend of mine just was like, hey, Max Payne is back on. We're getting like a good game here. You want in on this? And I brought the oils, the candles, the works, and I just went off. I yeeted so many times. Oh my god. Like, this was breath of fresh air. This was just awesome to just go back to. My favorite game of all time, and it's back in my life. So, I have been trying to get back on. I tried today. I tried today. It was terrible. There was no one on. But I actually did very well yesterday. Yesterday was something special, and the problem is I have no evidence of it. So I got like a... Jesus, I told a friend about this earlier. Someone else. Not Roar, but it was someone else. Like, I think I did like a 3.0 KDR yesterday. I also bought this game again because I heard a friend of mine, I was actually playing with him in this match right here that you are seeing, and he was saying like, oh man, it's so hard to rank up, and I was like, is it really? So I made an alt account, and yeah, I just have at it, and yeah, it was just awesome. It was just so good. I just absolutely love it. Oh my god. Like, you ever been in a situation to where you really want to talk about something, and then like when you're on the spot you just lose train of thought? That's exactly what's happening to me right now. So like,
welcome to my life.
So I love this game so much. This is my number one favorite game of all time. This is my number one favorite series of all time. Now, the story to 3 is not as great as 1 and 2, but the online is where it was at. The fact that you could, like, go into bullet time, dive in midair, on online, like, that was Max Payne. Like, I actually don't know when the Matrix video game came out, but basically, when they were doing the Matrix movie, they were doing Max Payne the game. And essentially, it was almost like a race on who was going to get bullet time first. If you ever play Max Payne, they actually do have a disclaimer saying that it was... bullet time is a copyright ownership of Warner Brothers. So it's like, if only they were a little quicker, I would love for that to say Remedy Studios. That would just be so awesome. Remedy is just so good. Sam Lake is the whole mind to Max Payne, the character. He is what you see in 1 and 2. 3, it's from Rockstar's perspective. Rockstar, they did a good job to some degree, but it's disappointing in comparison. But by all means, in my opinion, they made up for it with the multiplayer, because I cannot play any other multiplayer than this. Like, every multiplayer I ever played, and yes, I know, I played like freaking whatchamacallit. I played Iron Sight. I played Iron Sight. I played Ghost in a Shell Standalone Complex First Assault Online. It's a long-ass title, I know. Like, all of those games, I was trying to get this. And there's no freaking way you could get this in any other game. So, I absolutely just love this game. I'm just so glad I'm playing it again. And, yeah, I just absolutely love this game. It is so, so good. I had a lot of fun playing it. I had some great moments. 6 hours I played this game. I did not feel there was a dull moment throughout that entire 6 hours. Yeah, there was bomb suit sawed-offs. Yes, they were using broken OP weapons that should have been replaced and freaking patched out or changed with a patch day one, but Rockstar moved on to 5 and they said, screw it, we're just moving on. Well, okay, fine. But as bad as some of the moments got in this, like 6 hours, it was awesome. I absolutely loved it. And I just never thought that this game would ever make a comeback. I tried getting on today. There was like dead lobbies after dead lobbies. Only played the game for like 12 minutes or 20 minutes. And like what you saw today is like how it was so many times for PC. And this is kind of more of a console game, I want to say, than a PC game, but if you ever do play it, by God, it's so much fun if you can get like a good big lobby going. You're never going to be able to do gang war, but you could do a team deathmatch, a large team death, and it is so much fun, which is what you could pretty much find these days is a large team death. Sometimes me and my friend, we kind of dick around, do a 1v1 just to play Max Payne again, and it's just so fun. I absolutely love this game. Highly recommend it. I think it full game is like $35 with all the DLC. For that same game on a sale, you could get it for $10. So, like, highly recommended. Even still, even though that 3 is not the best for story, the story isn't that bad either. So, like, it's still Max Payne, and I just love it. So, yeah. I could talk about this game all freaking day, so there you go. Yeah, I'm just gonna wrap things up because I'm just gonna be here for hours just talking about it. All you just know, game great, get it if you got $10 and you can find it on a sale. There you go. Moving on. Dark.
Nuts. One question.
Yes.
How does bullet time work in that? Because I saw you were doing bullet time where it slowed you down, but how does that work in multiplayer? Like, what's the other person experiencing?
Oh god. So basically, if you're an enemy, they slow down even slower. And you move quicker than they do. So, hence, bullet time. So, basically the game works to where everything slows down for you, and it slows them twice as much, if that makes sense. So, while you're kind of going at, like, say, 1x speed, they're going 4x speed. Does that make sense?
Oh, okay.
So yeah, that's how that works. And
okay.
Apparently, for new players, if you there is a item that you could place on your character. You have 3 slots. You could pick any mix match of 3 slots. There is a item that you could put on your character that would turn your bullet time to a friendly. So whenever you play a game and someone enters bullet time, what would happen is all your friendlies, so if you hit bullet time, all your friends would go at that same pace as well, and it would slow down to them. So basically, there is a perk that you can put on your character that would actually turn an enemy into a friendly bullet time. So you would be both moving at the same pace. Thus, you could also potentially get a kill doing that as well. So it's really awesome. Absolutely love it.
Huh. That's crazy dynamic.
Yeah, and
that's very interesting.
And honestly, that's the whole reason why Max Payne got its popularity the way it did, because you got to understand, this is 2000. So in the year 2000, and this game was probably in development like in 98, 99, because back then it took so long. The original game, this is why I love Max Payne. It's so underground. It is complete underground. The original cast of Max Payne is the developers. The developers and their friends and their family. Max Payne is Sam Lake, the writer, creator of Max Payne. His mom was the antagonist. She was the bad guy. And she was the one that was being the baddie. And, like, that's what it was. That's what it was. And that's the reason why I love Max Payne so much, is because it's so underground like that. Like, that was the original. That was the OG. If you play Max Payne 1, you're seeing the developers being the characters. And they had to use, like, friends and family to be the character model for the characters. And that, to me, it's just, that's how far they came. And it blew up to what it is today. And Max Payne is still like the underground. Like, hardly anybody, like, I cannot tell you how many times I've seen, like, a GTA, I cannot tell you how many times I saw, like, a GTA, YouTuber who would talk about, like, a new GTA 5 update. They never played Max Payne. I have not heard a single one that said they played Max Payne when it came out. And this is under Rockstar's banner. And yeah, it was under Remedy at first, but then with 2 is when they made the switch. And you could also say that Sam Lake tried to turn heel on Rockstar. Try and create an entire series with all the characters being dead. There you go. And so with Max Payne 3, it was like, well, everyone's dead. How do we continue the story? Well, fat, bald, and in Brazil. There you go. And it's like, so you take a guy from New York City who lives in Jersey, and now all of a sudden he's fat, bald, and in Brazil, and he's 50, and god damn it, still, James McCaffrey took until Max Payne 3 to finally use him as the character model, even though that he's been voicing the freaking character since day freaking 1. Great actor, by the way, highly underrated. Once again, could be here for days is talking about how good Max Payne the series is and Max Payne the game is. But yeah, for those that are at all curious or wondering, Max Payne 3 is the only one that has online. So if you want that online experience, you can only get it through 3. But I will promise you this, not a whole lot of activity every day on those servers. I tried today, it was a failure. But anyway.
But if we get enough people to endorse it through this stream, then we can, you can get those servers live.
That is honestly a dream of mine. That is honestly.
Or is it peer-to-peer? Is it dedicated servers or is it peer-to-peer? Because I'm surprised the servers would still be up.
I do know the servers used to be under GameSpy. I actually didn't know that GameSpy.com actually ran online servers, but apparently they were the ones that ran it. So I don't know what they had up, but it was ran by GameSpy. That company went under, and then basically Rockstar had to put up their own servers and like transfer all the data over. So yeah, the servers are wonky. They are not the greatest. I actually disconnected from the game that I was playing earlier. It's still kind of up, but it's on pause. So, but yeah, But from that game, I did DC at least one time, and I know the action was still going on because I was getting constant feedback from my friends saying, "Hey, dude, where are you?" And I was like, "I'm trying to get in, but I DC'd." So, yeah, servers are not great, but they are there. There is one DLC map that is completely broken, and every single time when you finish it, you crash the game. There is one map, I think it's called, like, Deathmatch Made in Heaven, I think is what it's called. It's supposed to be like a co-op, kind of like Killing Floor 2 or Payday 2, you just fight waves upon waves of enemies, survive. And it's you only live once, so once you die, you die. But you do have painkillers that can keep you going. They're your heals. And with that, you just keep going until you can't fight anymore. As long as one of your friends stays alive, basically somewhere on the map you'll be tied up and your friend has to go essentially save you, and that's how that works. And Deathmatch Made in Heaven, completely broken. It's not going to get fixed. I thought I heard from a friend of mine that they actually, modders did create a mod to where they essentially switched the map, because there were some people that was like, dude, I really want to play this map on Hoboken, but you can't play it without crashing. Loading in to that map, you crash. And so modders just took it to where it's like, okay, we'll go with Tiete River, which, by the way, this is Tiete River, for those that don't know. This map that you're seeing right here is Tiete River. And yeah, so like, all they just did is just basically take this map and made it into New York City. And they just swapped it out somehow with, you have to like copy and paste the map, and that's how it all works. So, but I could only assume if you're teaming up with a friend, they need that same modification, otherwise it's not going to work. So,
Yeah, probably.
yeah. But yeah, I still love this game. I think it's absolutely great. My dream of mine was to see this dead, practically 10-year-old game make a comeback. That is an absolute dream of mine, and yeah, highly recommended. Highly recommended. This is just so fun. But anyway.
You know why the servers are probably still up?
Huh.
Because someone forgot to turn them off.
You know,
Like,
I actually made a joke to my friend saying something along the lines of, you know what happened? Someone tripped over that fucking cord and they never plugged it back in. That's the joke I made. And honestly, that's exactly what happened, because that's how broken the servers are. They really need to be fixed, maintenance, updated, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? So, I mean, it just sounds simple. Just plug the cable back in, you douche.
yeah, it just turns out that was like the new guy.
Yeah.
All right, we need you to shut down Max Payne 3 servers, and he just went up to the server, and he's just like all of these buttons, and he hit the one. It's like, oh, this will do it. And he just shut off half the server, and the rest of it's just going. Just like, yeah, sure, I shut it off.
The joke I would have thought of is like, so Jeff, how you doing over there? Yeah, just shutting down the servers. That's a coffee maker. What? It's a button, makes coffee? Well, I messed with something over there, but, you know, I came over here. This is awkward.
Just like, all right, shut down the server. Who the fuck unplugged a coffee maker?
Oh, yeah, that's good, yeah, go ahead and shut down the servers. You know that's a coffee maker, right? You know, you gotta...
This guy sticks his head out of the lounge room like, who the shit interrupted my frappe macchiato? And the guy just runs away and didn't come back. So it's just the server's still on.
You know what? I'm probably gonna fire your ass. That's okay. I'm just the janitor. Oh, man.
I imagine there are games like that where big companies, they have the servers running only because they've just forgot to shut them off.
Something like that,
they're
yeah.
somewhere in the server farm and they just forgot they flipped the switch on it. It's like at this point, all the freaking stuff's rubbed out on it. Like, it used to be all labeled. Now they're like, they can't tell Far Cry 3 from like Max Payne 7 or Team Fortress 2.
Yeah.
I think all those are made by completely different companies, but
yes,
you know, the joke still stands.
Well, to be fair, I was actually surprised to see how many people actually use GameSpy as like, because when they said that they were transferring all that data over to new servers, there was a laundry list of like various different games, and not all of them were like under Rockstar's banner. It was like a couple other games too. I forget which ones, but it was like so long ago, and I forget that article, but I remember that being a thing, and I was like, I just thought that was just a website that just did cheat codes. How the fuck did they have so much access to like all these different like online games? So, but anyway.
I mean, that's what server farms do. Not to be confused with tree farms. Oh my god. I guess we're transitioning into RP now.
Absolutely.
I don't know why this is a moment that stuck out of like everything. It was like the freaking. It's the day of like freaking my character Ryan, and then Kits, one of the people I RP with. Well, I call her Kit out of character, but also in character because it's her character's name. And like their first date, and it's like it was such a great and sweet and like awkward date. But I just remember the tree farm incident where I'm like, oh, let's go to the farm, and she's like, okay. Oh, I thought we were going. We got there. It's like I thought we were going to the ranch. I'm like, oh, well, we could go there, and it's like. Oh right, this is an orchard, not a tree farm. This is an orchard, not a tree farm. I'm like, it's just so fucking stupid. And I'm like, sure, tree farm's probably a thing, right? I'm like, I don't know if 1899 tree farms are a thing. I'm like, sure, that's you farm trees at a tree, you know. Can't believe I forgot fucking orchard. It's a freaking it's like the orange orchard that's outside of Saint Denis. That was the place. Oh, just such a stupid ass moment. Anyway, oh god. Oh, I'm looking at my calendar. Last podcast happened the day after Moxie gave birth. So I probably talked all about that last time. Probably. We did come up with a name for it. We're going to call the little guy Motley, or I guess it's a gal, because Jaina decided we let Jaina, our friend, RP friend, also someone. These people like it gets a little weird when like the character, not the person who plays them, I also refer to them by their RP name. There's only a handful of my RP friends that I refer to by their out of character usernames, as opposed to just calling them in character. It's a little confusing.
Yeah, it is.
But as long as I preface things, but yeah, because we're giving the horse to Jaina, we let her, because we picked, me and Kit like out of character picked what the breed would be for it, because there's no like actual like horse breeding mechanic. We just sort of RP'd out that Moxie was pregnant, and then RP'd out the birth, and that's like, oh, it's there. You know, we just RP that the baby's there and growing up, and then eventually, once enough time has passed, which probably, I don't know, another week, maybe 2, there'll be enough time that's passed that it's big enough that Jaina can take it, and which would just be like purchasing the breed that we decided on what it was, and then being like, oh, yep, that's Motley. I don't know how Motley came about, but that was just the name that was thrown. It was just like, oh, I was thinking Motley. I'm like, I'm okay with that name. I was just like, you know what? It just sounds right. I don't know why, but it just sounds correct. I don't know. The only other suggestion I got was patty cake, just from one of my friends, and I'm like, I'm not fucking naming the horse patty cake.
No, Motley sounds better.
Yeah, Motley's a lot better. But yeah, I love that we've RP'd out that that Motley is going to be like basically is Moxie Jr. Like the daughter is taking after her mother. It's like, oh lord. we're like, man, I'm not sure the state can handle 2 Moxies, but here it is. There's a second Moxie coming. It's just so fun to. I love interacting with people who characterize their horses as like not just like a tool you use to get around the map, but it's like an actual as much a character as a horse can be. It's just not like some I have a horse. It's like I have a horse. It has a personality. And you know,
Mm-hmm.
they actually have like a relationship with it, and it just adds a lot more. And I always love watching that or interacting with people who do that. It's just such a I understand why not everyone does it, but it's just such a nice little addition to like character depth and just having fun with roleplay, and that's not taking I wouldn't say not taking it seriously. I mean, no, Moxie doesn't literally talk to Ryan, but how I justify it is that Ryan knows enough of like Moxie's verbal, I'm using air quotes that you can't see, and nonverbal to sort of take a best guess at what she's saying. I mean, to be fair, canonically, Kit's horse is literate, so there's some suspension of just like disbelief with the horses. It's funny that came around that her horse was literate because they used to at the horse races put notes down to indicate where the start line was, and Kit would use a controller for riding her horse, and the button, the same button that you use to make your horse run, is the same button that opens up the note. So she'd go running by the start line and open up the note, which completely locks down your controls. So freaking Beefcake would just keep going in a straight line because she opened up the note and lost control of the horse. So that sort of spawned the lore that Beefcake's literate because he'd always read all the notes. But yeah, it's been interesting. So I think I mentioned a little bit, but I was like, I won't talk about it a lot. Was like sort of like the Kit's Ryan's will they, won't they sort of relationship build up, which it was funny talking to my friends in RP and like them being so surprised that it wasn't planned the way it was out of character. What basically happened was, at least I'll start off with my perspective and then I'll add in this little bit in retrospect because I feel like that makes the best for storytelling purposes. That in my chat, these people, my RP friends started shipping Ryan and Kit, and I'm like, huh. I was like, I never thought about it, but then I couldn't think of a reason why not for it to happen. So it was something when I was playing Fall Guys with Kit that I brought it up, and she's like, "Oh yeah, cool, yeah, go ahead with that. You want?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." So it's sort of like a, oh, I got the okay from it. I was like, "Oh, that's sure, all right." And then RP stuff happened. And there was the one night where Kit almost got herself killed, which I was expecting the sort of the development of Ryan realizing he had feelings for Kit over like at least a week or so, and then it was like 2 days after I talked to Kit, and she's like, and I was like, oh, I'll start this being a thing. Was like, she nearly got herself killed, and I was like, well, shit. If there's literally no better time that these feelings would manifest than like right now, where it's like she almost died, or at least that's what, to the best of Ryan's knowledge, she almost died. I mean, she was pretty fucked up. And probably could have if she was, not being, if she hadn't stopped being stubborn and actually, patched herself up and stopped letting herself bleed out for several hours. But that happened, and then oh Lord, it would have been, that was the 14th. Okay, then Moxie gave birth on the 16th. And that was last Friday that circumstances happened to where, once again, stuff happened to speed up things. Then I'm like, okay, I guess it's happening, which I got to stop giving myself sort of like timelines for how certain story elements are going to go in RP, because they're just not going to happen. Something's going to pop up and I'm like, well, guess we're doing that now. Where Ryan does his confessionicate, and then and in that is when both Ryan finds out and also I find out that Kit had actually had a crush on Ryan for like a month at this point. And I was like, wait, what? I'm like, in character, I'm like, jock. Now to character, I'm like, wait, what? So I was talking to her. I was like DMing her afterwards. And like, so how long was that been a thing? She's like, since Emerald. I'm like, that was like a month ago. And she's like, yep. That's why when you mentioned it, I was completely okay with it. I'm like, oh my God, it never occurred to me that she was just so casual and was just like, no, do it. In like such a way that I was like, when she was telling me, oh, you should do that. She was nudging me in such a way that at the time I didn't think anything of it. But then looking back, I'm like, oh my God. I was so glad she didn't tell me, because it was such a great surprise. I'm like, it was so funny. Such a funny thing that happened. I completely missed it, but was God, my head just blanked. Speaking of thinking of things that you care about, and then it's like, what was I talking about? Yeah, that was hilarious. How that turned out. It's funny telling my RP friends that it's like, it kind of, it didn't happen. It wasn't planned. She didn't plan on it going anywhere with her character when she first had a crush on me, and I wasn't sure if it would go anywhere when I was like, you know what, maybe Ryan will have a crush on her. And it's like, oh, well, shit, both are like, well, we didn't think this would go anywhere. And it's like, oh, crap. I guess it went somewhere. But that's been fun doing the RP for that. I mean, it's been fun. I mean, it's a little like, it's kind of super awkward because I'm not entirely sure what I'm doing, even in an RP sense. But I don't know how to explain it. It works because both our characters are super awkward with it, so it just kind of, it works, and it makes it a lot easier to actually do the RP with sort of how things are set up. It's also helped that I've started doing, some of my friends were doing it, and I tried to write a journal entry like back in September, but I ended up scrapping the idea. It just wasn't coming out in a way that I wanted to. So I was like, I just scrapped the idea. But then once the things with Kit started going off in character, I was like, it'd probably be a good idea to start kind of doing these journal entries just so I can get a better idea of what's going through Ryan's head and sort of like think through it and sort of have something more concrete to go off of. So I started doing that, and it's been enjoyable. I love writing, and it took me I had to rewrite my first journal entry 6 times to get it to where I wanted it. But thankfully, I think that's the last time I did. I've made 6 now, and the first one was the only one I had a lot of problem with. It was a mix of sort of keeping it realistic to a journal sense, but also at the same time indulging a little bit in storytelling, because as much as it is a journal, it's also not just like a personal journal. It's like something other people are gonna read too. So sort of like finding a nice little balance between this is a realistic journal and it also reads well narratively to someone who's reading it, which I've gotten actually great feedback from my friends who have read them. So I'll bounce. Yeah, I got one of my friends who RP friends who I bounce the entries off of. I'm like, tell me what you think about this if I need to change anything, and then they'll give me some feedback, and then I'll change some things, and then I'll post it. But yeah, that's RP has been super fun. I can't believe that everything kicked off in October. I was anticipating with Squadrons that I'm like, oh, okay, well, I didn't anticipate like all these important things happening in my friend group and with my character to all happen within the course of like 3 weeks. Well, I guess actually, no, 3 weeks. So I was expecting like, oh, I'd probably just be only doing RP a couple times a week and da-di-da-di-da. But then, and all of this stuff happened one after the other, and it's just all been building up in that. And I'm like, I'm having way too much fun with this. But I'm going to try and, with things kind of hopefully calming down, this is when shit's going to kick off again. As soon as I'm like, okay, things are calming down, I could start doing not doing it as often as I've been doing it. But, oh, I can't believe I forgot. I finally, Ryan/me, finally won our first horse race event Wednesday. It was fantastic. We did it on Moxie. It was like incredible. My heart was freaking pounding out of my chest the whole time. I started in, actually I managed second in the starting line, and that's when I realized, holy shit, I had a chance to win. And the guy who was in front of me, which it's possible that I could have still gotten first place even if he hadn't have jumped the fence and have been basically knocked out of contention for top 3. But well, it happened. I probably could have beat him. I don't think he was very good at managing his stamina. I finally sort of like, I've always had sort of the getting in my head, like how long to go, how much time to rest sort of thing. And it was just, for some reason, just speed wasn't working as well. But apparently there's 2 ways to control your horse on PC. One's using the shift key to do your sprinting, and the other's using the W key. And for some reason, using the W key is way more reliable with your top speed than the shift key. I have no idea why, but it just is for some reason. So that's a weird little tidbit. I don't know if that I don't know if that works in story too or not, but it just struck me as weird that was I didn't expect switching the controls to make that big of a difference, but it did. It takes off like 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds off of a standard sort of lap that you do on a horse, which I did. It's not just for my horse. It was for I was out racing with a couple of my friends in RP, and I told them about, well, as in characters, you can tell someone how to switch the controls for their horse, which is very shaky and would probably get me a slap on the wrist, but who cares? I shouldn't say that. Don't slap me on the wrist, Wild West RP staff, please. It was fine. Like, I kept it as in character as humanly possible, but it just consistently allows your horse to be at top speed and maintain it, which is such a weird thing, but whatever. So yeah, now apparently I have contention for horse races, so that's fun. That's all I can think of off the top of my head for RP.
Awesome. Yeah, I know you're just like losing yourself in RP, so that's kind of interesting how both you and someone else didn't think that a relationship between characters would go anywhere, and all of a sudden it just spawned into this thing, apparently. Kind of interesting.
Oh, yeah, it's always interesting to see sort of like when individual people, like, they make decisions and somehow it's like, oh shit, wow, this actually went somewhere. It's like
Right.
you do something and you don't think it's going to go somewhere, or you think, oh, you just do it for the hell of it. You don't think anything's going to happen, and then just with the magic of like RP and just the fact that it is a bunch of just other independent people with their own sort of thought process and stuff, that random things can just happen. It's not like there's anything that prevents or encourages it.
Right.
It just happens.
All right, I guess we'll move on to clips here. Looks like we got a clip from Nikita.
Yeah.
All right, so
yep.
All right, I guess we're just gonna go ahead and play it. Here we go.
Yeah, I've got nothing to say.
I see 2 hostiles outside of the spawn balcony.
One down.
So what happened there is she jumped down and landed on top of the guy.
Yeah.
And he didn't notice her. And so she's just staring at him.
Yeah.
She explains all this like a couple seconds after the clip happens, but it's just staring at him like confused as all hell. Like, why isn't he doing anything?
Yeah.
Like, do I shoot him? Do I? It's funny in situations like that. It's like, wow, that was so obvious. Meanwhile, the other person's screen, it's like they didn't see anything, but apparently Nikita, it's just like the person drops on your head, but you just don't see it on your screen. It's like, how did you see that?
Yeah. Alright, so basically I have these golden clips. This is the weaker one. Now, to say it's weak is, I mean, it's just weak in comparison to what I'm gonna say later. But, basically, what we're seeing here is Momo. She's an awesome streamer. I've been watching a lot of her stuff. She's just so genuine, wholesome, just an absolute, just a good person. So she's playing with a group of friends, doing some Among Us. I realized that I probably should have used Grimm's, his perspective, but I just been watching Momo, and she's just so fun to watch. But Grimm's kind of takes the show here, and basically what ends up happening is, this is all Grimm's idea. Now, pay attention to all the names that is in the Among Us, like, their Among Us name. Listen to what they say, and then look at the names. You will pick up exactly what's going on.
My god, I can already tell from the three I can.
Oh yeah.
Great.
So basically, if you guys are still lost, I'll fill in the blanks afterwards. But here we go. By the way, this is the way everyone should play Among Us. But let's go let's play this.
Y'all just vented. Y'all just vented in lights.
Is Was really doing this? Is this cap?
Y'all just vented.
Y'all think this
but
is
nobody just found who. So is Was copying nobody to vote another out?
Was hanging out in
agrees
lights.
with nobody.
Nobody is not defending y'all for possibly venting, but nobody needs to vote because who was already voted out. So to be safe,
was hanging in lights. Didn't see we. I can't really account for I. But Was is certain that y'all vented.
Y'all did not vent.
And you'll
nobody might.
lying.
Nobody could say because nobody just did this scenario a minute ago, so nobody is thinking someone's copying the scenario to vote.
At this point, Was forgot who died, but y'all vented.
Nobody thinks we should just to finish tasks.
Nobody was there.
No.
We and I wasn't there.
We doesn't understand.
Was at lights. And y'all vented.
We shouldn't do this 2 times, though.
Y'all,
you fucked up. Y'all, did you vent?
Y'all did not vent.
Y'all, what color is your name?
Why? It's red.
Y'all
vented.
Y'all did not vent.
Are everyone voting y'all or skipping to be safe?
Where was I?
What if
I wasn't reacting.
Was in lights.
What if was framing y'all
because
yes.
because nobody just saw you, so to get another and then
page.
Listen,
there's only one imposter left.
Can nobody account for y'all? Can we account for y'all? Can I account for y'all? I don't think so.
We
y'all can account for was not
lost.
What he was.
Who was getting blamed?
I told you.
Oh my
I
god.
got y'all.
Both of y'all got caught.
I just thought that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Oh my god.
That's like the Who's on Second.
Yes,
skit,
exactly.
but, like,
exactly.
cranked up to 11.
Yeah. So just in case if anyone was lost, so basically Grimm's thought, because Grimm's and Anthony has played this game, the base game of Among Us, so much that playing the base game is just not fun anymore. So now it's all about creating a new experience of Among Us. And he thought of, what if everyone spoke in first person? And why not have everyone go with a pronoun? Change your name to a pronoun. So go with we, go with I, me, somebody, someone, something like that. And who is always the best? Who, and I think where, might be, well, probably more who. But anyway, but yeah, that's what Grimm's thought of, and oh my god, was it was so comical. Just to hear y'all vented. Oh my god. But anyway, that was one clip. Now, for the next one, so, okay, so now we're getting into diamonds here. Anthony has been getting drunk on his stream for over a month now, on and off. So, do I need to say more? This is what happened about a month ago.
Ah, Jesus, this is bad. Oh god, someone's... chopped his fucking bodies right there, dude. Who the... I'm fucking... Ah, God damn it! Hold on. Hold on, focus, Anthony. I'm fucking... Oh, shit. Hold on. Shut the fuck up. Oh, shit. Alright. Oh, Jesus, this is bad. Oh, God, someone's chopped.
So, Anthony Kong Fam has been getting drunk on and off on his stream for over a month. The clip that you have just seen is only a fraction of what happened. So, I downloaded this entire stream because it was that worth. Later in this very stream of this clip that you just saw, a drunk Anthony Kong Fam and a sober Grims was sexting each other in-game. There was comments of, I am scaroused right now. And I have to say, Grims, you gave the line of the night. I gotta hand it to you. You gave the line of the night. Anthony, I want you to penetrate my dungeon with your level 4 broadsword. Oh my god! That is the gayest response I have ever heard! And the most nerdiest in one motion! Like, what the fuck? I was crying. I was crying when this happened. So, Dark, when you said that you wanted to do a watch party, I have 12 hours of a stream that is just pure gold. So if you ever want to see any of this, or anybody at all wants to see any bit of this 12-hour stream of gold to where Anthony is sexting Grims in-game, this is the most funniest thing I have ever seen, and this has been going on and off for over a month. Now, with that said, here are some diamonds. So now we are moving on to more drunk Anthony and his, I don't know, sexcapades or something? I don't know what the hell this crap is. So basically, now we're watching, what's his name is? His name is Sequisha. Sequisha here is, he died, they're playing Phasmophobia, and, well, once again, a very drunk Anthony and Grims are just fucking around, and they did this for hours on end. Sequisha had to sit and watch this shit. He even ended the stream because I think Anthony just kind of fucked off in the middle of the game because he was so drunk. He was just, there's like a key panel that you have to like push in order to like end the level. He's just staring at it, and the whole time, like, Sequisha's just like, all right, you know what, don't go anywhere, we're gonna go raid somebody, and he just ends dead, he just dead stops the stream. So they just did this for hours. This is a meme of biblical proportions. So if you think I was crying before, I actually only saw a fraction of this stream. Well, oh my god. Oh, by the way, great thing. Anthony was so drunk during this specific moment. I'm sorry, I can't talk. He was so drunk during this moment. He, the next day, said, I have no idea what happened yesterday. So he watches the stream in its entirety to see what happened. He blacked out drunk. He doesn't remember this. Play it.
It says something to us. Are you here? Oh, James Bond! He's ready for the heat! Let me...
They're both in the fucking...
That motherfucker said behind me. He was ready to give me the heat.
That motherfucking ghost was like, hey! That was like, hey! God damn! This horny song down here was like, hey! It's like, hey! It's like, hey! It's like, hey! It's like, hey!
So, if you want a reference of what the fuck they're doing, what's with the hate? This is where the hate came from. The same stream. I am dying right now.
What the hell? Look, give me like this. Look at this. Yeah, like that. You like that? Yeah, hold on. Like that. Yeah.
I like that.
It's like I'm sticking my ding dong in his asshole.
Oh shit! Like 90 degrees,
Yeah. Get over there. Let me see what it looks like. Let me see what it looks like. Get over there.
It looks like this. Look like like that little 90-degree action. Go like, hey. See. Little 90-degree action right there, right? Ain't that right?
Oh yeah.
Got a little Mr. 90 degrees. You show me.
Like that, no, hold on. I'm like, hey, yo, just Squeezy, what's going on, dude? Look like you in the ball that hit. Yo, what's going on?
Mr. 90 degrees over here.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm looking at that Mr. 90 degrees. Yeah, oh shit! Oh,
I am dying.
Oh my god.
Oh my god, a drunk Anthony has been stealing the show for over a month. This is the greatest thing I've ever seen. Oh my god. Oh. So, one last bit of information before we just call this thing with the clips. So, Anthony, being drunk as he was, I believe it was the last time we did a podcast. The same day, Anthony and his friends were drunk. They were doing. This is not a clip, by the way. I'm just saying what happened over a week ago. So a week ago on Saturday, I believe, when we or 2 weeks ago of the podcast, Anthony was so drunk. They were playing Among Us, and so many of his other friends were also drunk. No one noticed that they had undesirables show up in the game because they leaked the code. And for 5 games straight, Anthony is saying, "Who the fuck is this guy? Get him the fuck out of here, dude!" And he is just drunk, belligerent, and I am, dude. I don't know what has been going on with Anthony for over a month, but Jesus Christ, this guy is just, it is just freaking hilarious. I legit cannot watch anyone else do, well, anything on stream anymore because Anthony just steals the show. For the longest of time, I couldn't watch anyone else do Among Us, and then Anthony over here getting drunk doing Among Us, saying, "Who the fuck is this guy? Someone get him the hell out of here." But Anthony, you're the host. You're supposed to do it. Oh my god. So, when I said I had clips that could turn itself into diamonds, you just witnessed it. So, I am so glad I finally was able to show you guys these clips. Oh my god, these guys were just so funny. Oh my god. So, I honestly do not know of any other clips that could top this. Like, this is just insane, all of it. So, I don't know. But anyway, we have to change courses over here. So, we got to talk about Artist of the Week. I don't know if Dark still has tears of laughter in his eyes like I do.
Something.
So, normally I let him take it from here, but I guess I'll go first for Artist of the Week today. So, my Artist of the Week that I went with for today is a guy by the name of Robert Johnson. Robert Johnson is a legend in the world of blues. He is quite possibly the guy that he didn't necessarily start rock and roll, but he really helped that first genre of rock and roll artists, because a lot of the true rock and roll artists were kind of Lemmy from Motorhead, he's always said it's between Carl Perkins, who I think is I don't know too much about him, but I do know Chuck Berry and Little Richard, and for black artists to kind of like open the doors, like this guy was kind of like one of the first to like open the door for those guys. So because of that, yeah, Robert Johnson, he's just kind of like the first guy to like just kind a and as much of a individual as he is, I'm actually trying to find a photo of him so that way I could like kind of like show him off here. So like this is like one of the photos that like exists of him. So I kind of like to a new thing I kind of want to do is like be able to show you guys the people that we're talking about. But this is Robert Johnson. And basically Robert Johnson, he there's actually a story to him that because today is October 31st, Halloween, I figured since this guy was on the list of musicians, I kind of wanted to talk about him. So I'm not much of a ghost storyteller, but there is so much myth and lore behind this guy. This guy has won Grammys. This guy is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and yet we have no idea where his final resting crypt is. This guy is just a myth, a legend. He is legitimately unknown to some degree. And that's why there's so much myth and lore behind this guy. And the story I'm about to tell is very different than possibly most other stories. This guy was like around in the early 1930s. I believe 1929 was when he first got his start. So basically throughout the 30s is when he really started taking off. And this guy only lived to the age of 27. And yet he left a everlasting impression in the world of music. And like I said, there's so much myth and lore behind this guy. He really is unique. And I'm sure you guys probably heard the story, but I'm going to tell you the variant that I heard of, and I'm going to tell it to you exactly how I heard it. Robert Johnson was a terrible guitarist. He just was so terrible. To say he was mediocre is to actually say he was actually good. Like, he was so terrible. And he thought he was still capable of being able to do a show. So, late one night, he decided to hit the late night bars and see if anyone will allow him to play. So he finds this bar. He talks to the bar owner, who happens to be bartending that night, and he asked if he could play for some of his customers. The bar owner then looks at him and figures, well, this guy is no different than anyone else who came in, so I'm going to give him the same treatment I give everyone else. I can't pay you anything, but if you want, you could set up shop, play, and whatever tips you get, you could keep. But if I do like the song, I might even give you a round on the house. Robert smiles and agrees. He goes to the far end of the room. He pulls up a chair so that way he won't to get out of everyone's way, and he starts playing a song. Immediately grabs everyone's attention. And the people that's at the bar owner knows that a lot of the people at the bar is kind of hot-tempered. So the fact that this guy is terrible is just, well, if there's a fight that breaks out, he's going to have to pay for the damages. So he shuts it down immediately. The bar owner goes over to Robert and he tells him, I think you need to get out of here. And whatever you do, don't ever come back. Well, it appears that Robert's dreams of becoming a blues musician was dashed in that instant. He started wandering in the middle of the night, just aimlessly, wondering what he was going to do. He ended up finding himself at a crossroads, you could say. A crossroads that is, well, both metaphorical and physical. Physically, he is standing near where two roads intersect, but also his aspirations of becoming a blues musician was dashed, and he's debating on whether or not he should continue to pursue it. As he does so, he is approached at midnight by a well-dressed individual. He comes from the darkness and the thick fog that hovers over the night sky. He talks to Robert. Robert tries to have a conversation with him, but he's just too lost in thought to really think. He tries to carry the conversation, but obviously he has other ideas on his mind that weigh him down. The well-dressed man notices that he has a guitar. Hey, do you play? Sure, but I actually lost my first gig, if you believe it. Can I see it for a second? Robert hands the well-dressed man the guitar. He starts tuning it, even plays a little song. Hey, that's pretty good. I try. Here you go. He hands him back his guitar. But as Robert reaches, he notices something. A weird sensation coursing throughout his body. Seems to be coming from the guitar. He can't quite put together what's going on with him. But he ends up just kind of being lost in thought of what he's feeling. He spaces out no longer than a hot minute. He tries to come back and yell and scream and try and get the guy's attention. He had a few more questions he wanted to ask. As much as he called for him, he got no answer. It appears the well-dressed man, the stranger as you could say, showed up as quickly as he left. But he had more important things to worry about. So Robert began wandering aimlessly again throughout the night. As days turned into weeks, as weeks turned into months, no one seen Robert, no one heard of him. And then late one day, when a bar owner was opening up shop, he had other family business to attend to. Turns out some family member was in the hospital. He had to go check up on him. But work comes first. Times are tough, so he opens up the bar as usual. His regulars are waiting for him. He tries serving some drinks. As he's serving, he started noticing there's a guy, a stranger, just showing up. He looks familiar, but he can't quite put his finger on it where he's seen him before. And then it dawns on him. That's that guy I told to leave about a month ago. He starts to walk towards them. Perhaps he didn't get his message before to never come back again. He doesn't want to have to pay for any damages that's done to his bar. But before he could get to even talk to him, Robert already begins to play. The guy stops dead in his tracks. No, that has to be him. Has to be. It looks just like him. But he plays so well. How could this be? Well, he forgets all about it. Water under a bridge. He starts heading back to the bar, and then as he does so, he started listening to the music that the guy is, well, more so what he's singing. He speaks of the devil. Why? So this starts just spreading rumors. And even people at the bar even start noticing the guy that they saw a month ago. But why is he speaking of the devil? Could it be true? Could Robert Johnson have sold his soul to the devil? And then at the age of 27, as he's playing his last and final song, he vomits uncontrollably and then dies immediately at the scene. could it have been the devil himself who took what they agreed upon about 7 years ago? Well, the story is 100% true. This guy actually, no. The devil does not exist, and the quote-unquote time when he went missing, that was actually him being trained by a guy by the name of Ike Zimmerman. Ike Zimmerman is believed to be his mentor who taught him how to play guitar. And basically, that's the lore that hovers over this guy. This guy only lived to the age of 27, and when he died, basically, people were trying to figure out why is that? Like, he just showed up, and then immediately he's just gone. And yet, his brief moment of being a musician, it has set a standard. People like Bob Dylan, people like Robert Plant from Led Zeppelin, Brian Jones from the Rolling Stones. I forget the laundry list, but there were so many people that would point to Robert Johnson as their inspiration. And yet, this guy, we have no idea where he's buried. There's 3 unmarked graves that basically tries to tell his story, but we actually don't know. We can't go by dental records because not a whole lot of people went to the dentist at the time. And on top of that, this guy, he really opened the door for a lot of early musicians. Even my last week, or from the last podcast, Muddy Waters, it was Robert Johnson that helped him. Because you got to remember, this guy, Robert Johnson, was from the 30s. Muddy Waters is from the 40s. And Muddy Waters and Robert Johnson basically helped open the door for guys for the late 40s and early 50s. Chuck Berry, Little Richard, so on and so forth. And so I just kind of been telling the stories of kind of like the early musicians. There was a report I was supposed to do like back in high school that I really wanted to do. I had a love and a passion for Motorhead, and I really wanted to see like what was Motorhead's inspiration, who did they go on to inspire, and my general consensus was supposed to be of like the history of heavy metal, but it turns out I ended up finding the history of music in the process, and this guy was one that did come up in that early report. And then I discovered, oh, it's something on a little bit more specific, because I thought we could write about anything, and then it turns out, no, we gotta scrap that, go with something else. And every so often, I have thought about that report, the idea that I had research of trying to find out, like, the history of rock and roll and heavy metal, and then it turns out, like, no, I'm just finding the history of music. And so I thought that was kind of interesting how that report kind of went, but it never happens. But I do remember that early research, and I always kind of thought it was interesting, just the history of music, really. And so basically, when we did this podcast, I always thought how. At first, I started thinking, oh yeah, Artist of the Week. It would be great for artists that we like. And then I slowly started remembering back to that report. I was like, how can I bring that in, but do it in an organic fashion? And when I started doing Mafia 1 and all the music that came from that, because I really did like the music from that, and I kind of figured, well, this guy's on the list, and I want to do it, but I just didn't know when to pull the trigger. And since there's the whole story of that, this guy he sold his soul to the devil, I thought that's perfect for Halloween. And, well, here we are on October 31st, and my God, I think it's just perfect timing. So there are other artists I want to do of jazz and blues that I want to do. But this was just timing. I totally would have went with someone else, but screw it. I figured, what the hell. But one last little tidbit before I have Dark take it over. This is a screenshot of Persona 4. I couldn't help but notice there's this little thing down over here at the bottom, and if you zoom in closely, that is clearly a picture of Robert Johnson. I just thought that was great. So, yeah. I thought that was kind of interesting, just playing, like, Persona 4 and just seeing that. So, anyway. But yeah, that's the story of Robert Johnson. He's a legend, and I just really wanted to talk about him. So, there you go. It is kind of interesting to hear some of his music, because they legitimately, when they first started recording music, they legitimately just had a microphone and a guitar and a person just talking. Like that, like you could actually, in some of the songs, you could actually hear him rocking in his chair, and you could hear the squeaks of the chair. Like, to some people, they would probably, oh my god, that's like so terrible. Like, why don't they just cut that out? They didn't have the technology at the time. And for me, it's almost kind of like you could almost hear history in so many ways, just from the song itself, and then just from hearing like these little pops and creaks of the wood of the chair that the guy is sitting in. And to me, there's like a historical purpose of that. And so yeah, this is quite possibly going to be the oldest artist of the week that I'm going to go with. He's just a guy that just needs to be remembered, needs to be told, and yeah, he's kind of where it all started from. Or at least he tried opening up the door for those early musicians that struggled, and I just figured, well, his story needs to be told. But yeah, Robert Johnson, he's a legend. I think even his song, Crossroad Blues, even won a Grammy, so almost everything this guy touches is something. But anyway, there you go. Dark, thoughts?
Songs you sent me, I thought they were good. They're not music I would typically like casually listen to, but I appreciated the songs. I thought they were good, and for, you know what, I could see them being real great music for the time that the songs were. I can see that, and yeah, they're good. They still, I guess, they hold up in their own way,
right?
I suppose. That's all I can think of to say.
All right. And your artist of the week?
So my artist of the week deals with history as well, but in a completely different way than what Liv has done, where their songs are about military history. So the band I picked was, shout out to my RP friend Ernest, who suggested this band to me when we got talking on stream about history, and that he's like, hey, you know, I was like, I love military history. He's like, I love that too. There's this metal band that sings about military history, and that you might like them. And I'm like, oh, cool. So Sabaton is the band recommended to me by my friend, and I like them. They're a Swedish metal band that's it sings about military history. I'll read a bit of the bio that it has up on Spotify. In the nearly 2 decades since their launch, Swedish metalers Sabaton have carved out a reputation as one of the hardest working bands in the business, gathering a legion of loyal fans across the globe, delivering 9 highly rated studio albums, including 2 certified platinum sellers, and scoring multiple industry award wins and nominations, not to mention launching their own annual festival and cruise, combining soaring power riffs with vocalists Scandinavian name as all hell, Joachim Brodens. That was probably it's wow. Can't do Scandinavian names. Instantly recognizable gruff baritone. The band refuses to be simply slotted into a genre. Fans need only know them as Sabaton, the heavy metal band that sings of real-life wars and the people who played a part in them, of grueling campaigns and dazzling acts of bravery, of magnificent victories and touching personal struggles, true stories, more fantastic than fiction. So yeah, they do like a lot. There's a lot of their songs that are World War II. Their newest albums all about World War One, and then they've got a lot of other of their single or songs in their albums about other time periods, like just military history from all over the place. So the songs I picked were The Last Stand, Ghost Division, Attack of the Dead Men, and Fields of Verdun. I feel like at least I should kind of talk about a little bit of the history that's behind those songs. So The Last Stand is a retelling of the Stand of the Swiss Guard. So during, it's referred to as the sacking of Rome in 1527. Basically, the Pope at the time was ironically hated by a lot of his people, by a lot of his own clergy and a lot of other people in Italy, because the previous Pope was like a super big party person and everyone loved him. It's like, oh man, debaucherous parties, shit like that. And then the next Pope was like, you know what, I'm actually going to be a good Pope. And, you know, his people didn't like that because they wanted parties and that. So the only reason he got in with the Pope was because he had the support of the Holy Roman Emperor. And then he pissed off the Holy Roman Emperor. I'm oversimplifying things. But essentially, the Holy Roman Emperor sent 4,000 Spanish troops to Rome to have a chat with the Pope and, you know, teach him sort of like to know his place. But in addition to that, another general who didn't think so nicely, who actually just wanted to hang the Pope for his treason against the Holy Roman Emperor, raised 10,000 mercenaries and went in conjunction with these 4,000 Spanish troops. And the general who raised the 10,000 mercenaries, he got sick, had to go back to Germany. So the original general has to deal with like all of these mercenaries and that. And so they siege Rome. And in the middle of the battle, the general is killed. So now you have 14,000 mercenaries who have lost the person who's paying them. And, they take it out on the city. It is one of the most brutal attacks on Rome, probably ever. By the end of all the looting and raiding, 80% of the population of the city was killed. It took decades for Rome to recover from that and permanently shifted this sort of power dynamic of the papacy from being from the Holy Roman Empire to just like being more centralized just around Rome immediate. So during this battle, the protectors of the Pope were the Swiss Guard, 189 strong. So the mercenaries went up and attacked the Vatican itself to try and get the Pope. And the Swiss Guard stood their ground. And while 42 of them guided the Pope through secret tunnels to a safe bastion, the rest of them made their stand at the steps of the Vatican. And they were all hopelessly outnumbered, but they valiantly fought to the last man and held back the attackers long enough for the Pope to make it to safety. And even of the 42 that escaped with the Pope, only a handful of them managed to actually survive till they reached their safe haven because some of the guys got through. And that's sort of that event is why, like, the stand of the Swiss Guard and their just dedication and their devotion in that fight and defending the Pope is one of the reasons why, or is the reason why, nearly 5 centuries later, it is still the Swiss Guard who are the protectors of the Pope to this day, because of their actions on that one day. They have been continued to be recognized and given the honor of protecting the Pope. So that's sort of the history kind of behind The Last Stand. Ghost Division is from the Second World War. The French nickname for the 7th Panzer Division during the Blitz of France. At the time, it was newly handed over to then promoted General Erwin Rommel, more commonly known as the Desert Fox. So during the Blitz through Belgium and into France, Rommel was very aggressive and tended to push forward a lot more than he was ordered to. And in fact, there was many cease and desist orders given to the Panzer Corps to have them wait, regroup, and then attack again. But Rommel, knowing from his experience in the First World War of sort of the benefits of keeping momentum and not wanting to get locked into another stalemate, he was a lot more aggressive with his tanks. And at one night, he took his panzers and motorized infantry and his motorcycle troops, and he punched a hole. It was a very narrow corridor, so narrow that even after he punched through it, like, the German high command didn't believe that it was actually like a puncture that their troops made. They did not think that anyone could get through that small of a gap. And even the commanders of the infantry that Rommel they got left behind didn't believe that Rommel got all of his tanks through that small gap. Surprise, he got all of them through that small hole. He punched through the extended Maginot. And instead of stopping, he pushed for like 50 miles behind enemy lines. And it's like the dead of night at this point. And he devastates. He's just blatantly driving down the road with his tanks. And it's the dead of night, and it happened upon like the French, I think it was the French 1st Armor Corps. And it's nighttime. Their tanks are all parked at the side of the road, and they're all sleeping. So his panzers just drive by, shooting at both sides of the road, and just completely devastate almost the entire division before they even knew what the hell was happening. And this sort of thing continued for the entirety of the night, of them just hitting these French divisions who were super confused as to how German tanks were in the middle of their lines. And it spread chaos and that, and sort of nicknamed, which gave them their nickname, the Ghost Division, because French High Command could not figure out where the hell they were at any point. And neither could actually the German command. They had no idea where Rommel was, only where he had been, because of all the destruction and chaos he caused. He even actually, on his way back, when he realized his infantry had not followed him through, took a single armored reconnaissance car and just drove back up the road he'd just gone down the night before. And he actually convinced a lot of French troops to surrender. He just drove up to them, and there's one count of him driving to a column of French trucks that was driving towards the front, and he has his personnel carrier drive up and park in front of the first one, and he gets out of it, and he orders the French troops, he orders the officers to have the troops get out of the trucks, abandon their weapons, and leave. And they do it because, as far as they were, like, the French had no idea what the fuck was going on. Like, they thought they were in their lines, but all of a sudden, like, coming from the opposite direction of where you think the Germans are, is a freaking German general who's just casually just walked up to you and been like, yeah, you're surrounded, surrender. What are you going to think? Like, they legitimately thought somehow that the Germans had broken through and that the French lines were gone, when it was just a single division that had caused so much chaos. And that action almost got Rommel court-martialed, but thankfully for him, the action he took there in disrupting the French lines basically sped up what essentially would have taken weeks or days, or realistically even weeks, like sped up the invasion of France by like days or weeks, just through one brutal night raid that he did. So that's sort of that story along Ghost Division. Attack of the Dead Men is an interesting one. This is from the First World War. And so there's this one strategically important fort in what's now northern Poland, which was at that point part of the Russian Empire. And the Germans had tried to take it several times in the past. And their final attempt to do it, they used poison gas. And so they gassed the place. And they figured, well, the Russians don't have gas masks. They're all dead. So 7,000 German troops march up to the gassed out Russian positions. And suddenly they think, well, there's going to be no Russian resistance. They're all dead. And suddenly Russian guns start opening up on them. And shortly after, about 100 disfigured Russians, coughing up blood and their own lungs, fix bayonets on their rifles and start charging them. Some of them even dragging themselves across the ground towards them. It was a sight of like, it looked like a bunch of like zombies rushing towards them. And the Germans ran. They didn't know what the fuck to do. It looked like a bunch of just undead Russians charging them. So all 7,000 of the German troops run like hell and cause a lot of casualties on their part from like just trampling over each other, trying to get away from this horrific scene. It was just, I never heard of this battle. And it's just such a weird little thing. And also, like, this battle is one of the reasons why there was a myth in the German army in the First World War of Russian soldiers who had been killed on the battlefield getting back up and starting fighting again. Because of this sort of attack, what is actually historically referred to as the Attack of the Dead Men, which is an interesting thing. It's never thought I'd learn about something like that in a song, but that's cool. And then Fields of Verdun, I don't have a lot to say on that. It's basically just about the Battle of Verdun, which is one of the bloodiest and just back and forth horrendous battles of the First World War, with just artillery being shelled at each side, mass charges, and just nothing being accomplished. It's, I think, probably one of the more notorious battles of the war, of just slaughter on both sides and neither really coming out on top. But yeah, so like the band, I love the band because of the content is great. I love the premise of the band, but also the music I think is really with the music and the content. This band has just really struck a chord with me, and I love them. They're really great, and I find their music very like just hype and just interesting too. It's sort of what I have to say on Sabaton.
Yeah, Sabaton. Basically, at some point I'm going to get to them, but they're very reminiscent of why I kind of like Iron Maiden. There's a song from Iron Maiden called Run to the Hills, and it's not specific in detail, but it's just the generalization of just the conflict between the Native Americans and the white settlers, and how much that basically they were just constantly in fights with each other, and the song was basically like Run to the Hills for cover, essentially. And I always kind of thought it was interesting that they told history through song, and it's actually one of my favorite songs of all time. And one thing I thought was really interesting that kind of took it to the next level is there is a moment to where you hear a bass, and it's almost kind of like a gallop, if that makes any sense. And you can almost hear, like, through the bass, you could almost hear, like, a surge of, like, just horses just galloping, just trying to run to the hills. And I always love that song. I am completely with you when it comes to Sabaton with, like, the historical side. Like, that is just... Like, I absolutely fucking love that. Like, the idea that they're taking... The fact that they're taking real history and kind of telling the story through song is just next level. Like, that is absolutely... Like, I fucking love that. But sadly... kind of going back to that streamer I mentioned earlier about Momo, she absolutely loves power metal. And it was through listening to her, I discovered I'm not that big into power metal because it's whenever I hear about songs about death and destruction, with me, I always kind of prefer to hear it from the side of, like, dark and despair. But with power metal, it's more hype, it's more kind of like, I don't want to say upbeat, but I felt like it's metal with a smile, if that makes sense. And because of that, that's the reason why I'm not much into power metal. And that is like, if this was any other kind of type of metal or any other kind of type of rock genre, I think I would absolutely be sitting here saying how much I love this band. But because it's power metal, I just not that big into power metal. But everything else says I should love this fucking band because it's metal. It's just not the subgenre of metal that I really enjoy. But there is definitely something with this band that just... I think I can find a song that I think I would like from these guys. I just need to look for it. So, like, I'm glad that I learned about this band myself. I'm definitely going to be searching through, seeing if I can find that one song that I think is a gem from these guys. But, yeah, this is really something. Yeah, I never heard of this band, but there is something here that is so good. So it's like in a weird, awkward spot with me overall. So I'm pretty sure I can find the song that I think I would like from them. It's just, I haven't heard it yet. So it's like, it kind of falls in line to something similar to like with Dave Grohl. Because, like, today I talked about Robert Johnson, and the thing about, what is it? The thing about Dave Grohl, who is the guy of Foo Fighters, he's the one that started that band. As much as I like Dave Grohl and the way he thinks of, like, how he appreciates that early genre of rock and roll, I love that idea about him. And I want to love his music because I like the way he thinks, to where you have to appreciate where music started to really appreciate the music that you love today. And I love that way of thinking. So because of that, I want to get into Dave Grohl and Foo Fighters, but I just haven't heard that song yet that I really like from him. But I'm sure it's in there with Dave and with Sabaton. But yeah, it's this weird, awkward spot, and I just need to find what that one song that I can appreciate, just overall with music and everything else. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. I'm really glad that you brought this band up, because the historical side is just something else. Absolutely. So yeah.
Yeah, be sure to tell me if you find that.
Yeah.
That song.
Yeah, I definitely would. So, but yeah, I was getting like Iron Maiden vibes just from the sheer aspect of, like, just telling a story through song. Because that's another reason why I just love music. I like to hear songs that tell stories, and this is it. So, yeah. The only other song I could think of to where it's like anything similar, but once again, it's like generalization, is Motorhead with 1916. And once again, I also love that song 1916 because in the song they have like a marching band, kind of like what you would hear in the Civil War when you had structured battles. You would actually have people with a flute, people with drums, and they would play a song as there's explosions going off and like all that stuff. So when they did the song 1916, even though that they're talking about World War I, and it is a story, a fictional story of World War I, once again, it's just, I also look for not just what is said, but also what you hear. And the fact that you kind of have like this marching band, like it was kind of like with Iron Maiden, and like you hear the gallop in the bass. So anytime to where I could hear something that's unique, I kind of cling to that, and it makes the song that much more. And I'm sure Sabaton has it. I just need to look for it, and I'll definitely let you know if I ever do find that song. But yeah. But anyway. Yeah, really cool. So yeah, I think that is pretty much a podcast for us. Oh, sorry about that. I accidentally hit the wrong button again, as always. That's my bad. But anyway, Dark, any stuff coming up on your stream that you have coming up?
That I have coming up? I'm debating whether or not I'll stream tonight. I'll probably do some Dead by Daylight. I gotta do RP tonight. There's Halloween events going on, but you need to sign up in advance for those, and I didn't really have any interest in them. So, meh. So I might stream some Dead by Daylight a little later tonight. Depends on how I'm feeling after the podcast. Tomorrow, I'm taking the day off, period, from streaming. But we'll probably be back Monday with RP. We'll definitely do RP Wednesday, because that's the next race. Tuesday, I think we might. So now I've got like 2 sort of visual novel things to do, because Monster Camp came out, or Monster Prompt 2 Monster Camp came out. And then also the No Pixel one. So I got to figure out which one of those. I'll probably do the No Pixel one, maybe Tuesday, because that's not as massive as as the other one's going to be. So probably do that Tuesday, and if we don't finish it in one stream, we'll probably do that again Thursday, and then it's up in the air after that.
All right. And for me, I think I'll do some Mafia 2 tonight, even though I'm probably tired as hell, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Probably just do a check. Why is my mouth and brain just not working? I'll probably just do a quick stream and just kind of hang out, chill for a little bit. And then, possibly just do some Mafia 2 tonight. I'm actually thinking that maybe there was no Max Payne action today because maybe it's Halloween, so maybe that's the thing. Because yesterday was completely fine, but yet today just happens to be Halloween and there's no action, so hopefully there's action tomorrow. I will try and see if the servers have any action, and if there is, Max Payne tomorrow, 100%. Basically, that's going to be like most of my streams. This is going to be half and half with Max Payne 3 and whatever else I'm doing. At the moment, doing Mafia 2, so. And then we're going to keep like that until November, whenever Yakuza is planned to finally release, so. And yeah, we'll just be diving into Yakuza Like a Dragon for November, since Cyberpunk got pushed. And yeah, I think that will be the way things are. And yeah, I think that's all I want to say. Anything else in particular? Last minute thoughts?
Happy Halloween. Stay safe. Stay away from people.
100%.
Don't leave your porch lights on if you don't have candy.
Yeah, that's how I always do. Anyway, thanks everyone for hanging out with us, and we'll see you guys in 2 weeks on the 14th. So, can't wait.
Oh, yeah, 2 weeks. Yep, you're right.
Hey, I'm half asleep over here and I got that right.
Look, okay, my whiteboarded out calendars ends today. I need to redo all my dates.
There you go. But yeah, 14th, next month. We'll see how things go, and yeah. Alright, guys. Bye, everyone.